Welcome to Book Time with Ryan. I'm Ryan, and today I'll be talking about Crickonomics, The Anatomy of Modern Cricket by Stefan Szymanski and Tim Wigmore. If you've watched the last few videos, I think, on this channel, you've seen that I've gotten into cricket. That came about from my trip to London. Check out my London vlog. And I've started playing. I had my first game 2 weekends ago, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, and found out that I was not prepared for the running part. I hadn't even thought about that, but there's kind of some coordination that goes into the running. Not running, I know how to run. There's some coordination that goes into running with a partner when you're playing cricket, and I had not thought about that. I had not practiced it, and as I was walking up, I realized that pretty quickly that I didn't really know what I should have been doing. So I'm wearing a Washington Freedom hat. This is Major League Cricket team for the Washington area, and the jersey. And in addition to experiencing cricket, I've also finally read a book about cricket. Crickonomics. Basically, you can add anything onto nomics, and it's basically a look into the statistics of that concept, whatever. I've read Spousonomics, did a review. Check that out. I've read by one of these authors, Soccernomics. This kind of falls into a category that Soccernomics obviously would, and also there's one called Circus Maximus, and it's basically a look at sports through an economist lens, which I like. So I have it in my business economics finance bookshelf. But some of the things I didn't know going into this, there are a lot of terms, cricket terms, that are probably common for people who follow cricket that I am not familiar with yet. Some of those I was able to look up during this. Some of them I just probably didn't pick up on the fact that they were referring to some specific concept. This is a cool book because it talks about the changes that cricket's going through now, and it gives you historical context, and it asks kind of fun questions. Like, where do bowlers, pitchers, for people who know about baseball, pitchers in cricket's bowling, a bowler, and batters or batsmen, what part of society do they come from? Historically, in the UK, as the sport was developing, you saw a split between what was producing the batters, which was more of the kind of the elite upper crust of society, the gentlemen, and the bowlers were typically more of your working class look. Part of that apparently was because batting was just a sexier, probably still is, a sexier thing than bowling. Also, you need somebody to throw to you, so it's not like you can just hit it off a tee like in t-ball. You need somebody to kind of play with. And bowling took longer for people to develop. It took more time. There was more work that went into it, and still goes into it. And there's physical attributes that I think benefit a bowler that batting can basically be taught. So it has questions about why that is, not only in England, but also the racial makeup in South Africa of batters versus bowlers. I think what you find a lot is that you can practice certain things without a pitch, without a cricket field, and there are some things you can't. So if you're in a lower socioeconomic environment, you don't have access to good facilities, good training, a leisurely period to do this extra training, that you're kind of fitting it in with all your other work, and that affects who can do what and what kind of people historically have kind of come out as either batters or bowlers. It also really goes into, I'm going to kind of provide a little bit of breakdown for people who aren't familiar with cricket. There's different forms of cricket. Historically, Test cricket has really been kind of the pinnacle of cricket. International test matches, typically between the big three, are England, Australia, and India. But these are multiple day games that are not limited by the number of overs in the game. An over is kind of like an inning. It's although they have stuff called innings in cricket, but it's basically like each over is a set of 6 pitches, 6 bowls, balls. You're not limited in test matches, but there are other things called limited overs, like a one-day international, an ODI, or a one-day, and T20 or 2020. A one-day, an ODI has 50 overs per team, and T20 has 20 overs. The league that I play in, we play 40 overs. It takes about 7 to 8 hours. So if you think about what's probably typical of U.S. sports, T20 is probably time-wise more in line with what we're used to in the U.S. It's 2 to 3 hours. This goes into the effect of these shorter format cricket matches and how they have influenced the international test environment. I think the test is, there's a matchup called the Ashes between Australia and England. In cricket, it's kind of like, I don't want to say Yankees, Red Sox, because I don't like either of those teams, and those are not the oldest. They're from the American League. It's not even the oldest league in the U.S. in Major League Baseball. It's a big tournament. It's a big matchup between two of the powerhouses. When you get to India, what's really taken on there is the shorter format, especially T20. And there's the Indian Premier League, which is really where a lot of the money is in cricket. The cricket that I've gotten to see in person was county cricket, so top level domestic league in England, and I saw it at Lord's, which is really the kind of the, people say the birthplace, but it's really the mecca of cricket. I didn't know that at the time. This really goes into kind of developments of cricket, even some of the equipment, the formats, the coverage, the economic situation, not only for the big three, but also for new members of the international community, like Pakistan, Bangladesh, now Afghanistan, South Africa, and then associate members. I think the U.S. is an associate member, but just like different tournaments, different matchups, and how those things kind of play out, where the money is, where the money isn't, kind of where it's going, pushback over the years with different changes, advancements. Some people wouldn't say advancements. Now, even in the cricket world, and this book is from 2022, even now there's still controversy. In England, you have county cricket, the one that I watched, Middlesex County Cricket Club, and you have something that's, I think, in its third year, the 100. And instead of playing, county cricket has different forms, test, one days, and T20. The 100 is 100 balls. So 100 pitches, basically, for each side. It's simplified. It's supposed to be more engaging, easier to understand, more fan-friendly. But it's really not that different from T20, because T20 is, you're getting pitched 120 balls. This is 100 balls. So it goes into that a little bit too. I enjoyed it. Some of the things I didn't know. I said at the beginning of this, I'm pretty new to cricket. And while I've learned a lot from watching and reading, there's a lot of concepts I just don't understand yet. Even some of the rules I understand, although I did buy the Laws of Cricket book. It's a little tiny one, so I can learn some of the rules. This is also, I think it was published in the UK. And that means that everything's the English spelling for English words, which is not totally distracting. But a lot of it is in English measurements, and for me the big one that I don't really follow is Celsius versus Fahrenheit. In the US we use Fahrenheit. So when there was a whole section on temperature differences between areas, how those affect matches, the statistical analysis of temperature variation on especially test matches, but also shorter form matches, and it was all done in Celsius. So I was like, I guess that's cold. They're saying it's cold. I don't know what that is. And that's hot. And I don't know what that is either. That's probably my shortcoming. And I think this is from the UK. So I can't really demand that they print stuff in measurements that we use. I got the hardback of this. There is a paperback coming out soon, I think in September. Instead of getting a paperback that kind of fit with Soccernomics, I decided to just get the book and read it. And that's what I did. I give it 5 stars. That's the thumbnail. There's 5 stars on the ball. That is a red ball. Red ball is used in our 40 overs, but especially in test matches where, and that's where you'll see guys wearing all white. Our league that I'm in, we wear all white no matter what team you're on. The other kind, the 1 day or the T20 or the 100, those are typically different color jerseys, and also Major League Cricket is a T20. So they use white balls. Red ball is for really test. So they'll say red ball or white ball too. I played 2 weeks ago, like I said. I didn't know what I was doing running. I was the last person that batted, and I was run out. I basically thought I was going to be running while looking at my partner, and he didn't run, but I had already stepped off the line a little bit, or the crease. I don't know what it's called, that line. And then I realized that he wasn't running. I turned around, and it was too late to get back to the wicket. So I got out. But the cool thing was I think I did all right in the field, and I got a direct hit wicket. I hit the stumps with the ball from probably 10 yards to get somebody out. I felt pretty good about that. It was very long. It was a 5.5 hour game, but it really would have been longer had we played our full 40 overs. I don't remember how many we got to, but we didn't get to 40. And we had some injuries, which was interesting. I've seen a couple broken fingers so far in the few games I've gone to. But it's really fun. It's just, I need to hydrate because I was so sweaty that I was just rubbing my arm and it was just salt crystals. And it was a lot of time in the sun. It was basically 4 hours of straight sun. But it was cool. It was cool. So, Crickonomics, the anatomy of modern cricket. Again, Stefan Szymanski and Tim Wigmore. If you don't know about cricket, it's still cool to check out. I think having some base knowledge of cricket would definitely help with this. If you don't, you're just going to I think you're going to miss some of the references, certainly the references on past players that are probably great players that I just don't know of. And this was a cool read for me as a new cricket fan. So, thanks. Oh yeah, and on my thumbnail it says, how's that? That's because when they want to know what the ump is going to decide on a play, they say, how's that? How's that? Like, is it out? Is it not out? Well, I got kind of a guide to umping from 1947 or 1948, and it's called How's That? It's kind of cool. If you want any Imperial Lather hand-finished toilet soaps, here's some information on that. So, I like it. Cricket's fun. Cricket's cool. I'm looking forward to more Major League Cricket. The 2020 World Cup is coming up next year in the U.S. and the Caribbean. Can't forget about the West Indies. That's also a major player in cricket. It's just been a really fun ride so far in learning about cricket, reading about it, and starting to play it and watch it. So thanks for being here today. I will talk to you later. Have a good one.